Hello and welcome to this How To Trophies 100% completion walkthrough. Today we're looking at the game Pacific Wings. I'm Dan and I'll be taking you through this guide today. Pacific Wings has the feel of an old school arcade game where you're simply just firing at enemies as they come towards you to score points and complete the levels. It's a very simple game in terms of the controls, and it's made even more simple if you have a turbo controller, because you don't have to hold down the fire button, it will just do it for you. But if you do not have a turbo controller, you'll have to hold down the fire button permanently. Before we go much further, please remember to drop us a comment in the comment section below and give us a like, share or subscribe as well to us here at How To Trophies. You can also follow us on social media, on X or on Facebook, or even on PSN, all at How To Trophies. We hope to see you there for more interactions soon. So Pacific Wings is a very simple game. There are only 4 trophies to collect, one of which is for upgrading your plane as much as you can. So these are for collecting the plane-shaped upgrades that are dropped by the enemies that you shoot. Initially you need 4 of these to fully upgrade the guns on your ship, so you shoot in all different directions. It should help you for later when you get stuff coming from behind you. I'll talk more about the importance of these upgrades later in the video. The other 3 trophies are for completing levels 1, levels 10 and level 20. Don't worry about reaching level 20 and being on no health and having no extra lives, because this is the last level of the game and you cannot go any further. The game will end at this point. So what is the significance of the weapons upgrades I was mentioning earlier? Well, you can keep stacking them beyond the 4 original ones, as you'll be able to see in the bottom left hand corner of the screen. I would advise picking up as many of these as you can to build that bar, because when you get hit by your enemy you will lose one of those power-ups rather than losing a life. So this extends your ability to live for longer, but also try not to drop down below 4, otherwise you will start to lose your weapons. And on the later levels, if you lose your weapons, it becomes pretty much impossible to kill the amount of enemies that you need in front of you, and you will eventually be unable to progress any further and will lose all your lives. So the goal on the first few levels is that you kill all the enemies as soon as you can, and you pick up the upgrades as many as you can, get as many stacked in the bottom corner. You'll also start to receive extra lives at this point. Lives are less important, as once you've got a lot of upgrades they become a bit useless. So I would concentrate on picking up the upgrades to ensure you've got as many of those stacked in the bottom left hand corner of the screen as possible. Once you start to get towards level 10, the game will get a little bit harder, and it will continue to get a little bit harder as you go through the game. Like I said, ensure you keep as many of the upgrades as possible, as getting hit too many times you will lose all of those, and again dropping below 4 will be basically impossible to complete the game. Because enemies do attack from the rear, you'll need to stay central and a little bit off the bottom of the screen, because if you're on the bottom of the screen you will tend to get hit by these enemies. The screen will warn you that they're attacking. It will say watch your 6, which essentially means watch behind you, and this gives you a warning of where they're going to be coming from. When you've got the higher amounts of guns attached to your ship, this won't matter so much, as you'll have guns that fire backwards. But for the first few levels, when you don't have this gun, it will be a bit harder, so make sure you don't get attacked from behind. Unfortunately, if you die, you will have to start from level 1 again, so it may take you a couple of attempts to get through this game, but it shouldn't take you much more than an hour and a half to complete this game in total and get those 4 trophies and that new 100%. Also, if you wish in the options menu, you can toggle on an old school feel to the game. I don't think I have that on, because when I turned it on it made the game a little bit harder to see, so I went with what I've got at the moment on the screen, which is a clearer picture, and I can see a bit more easily where the enemies are coming from. That's up to you, it's just a feel. And that's pretty much all you need to know to complete this game. I hope you enjoyed this How To Trophies guide. Remember to give us a comment, like, share or subscribe to us here at How To Trophies for more guides and gameplay to come. Hope you have a good day, take care and see you soon.